Time to write some code. This demo today revolves around opportunities and their price gouging competitors. We're going to write a trigger that automatically identifies the opportunities competitor that's offering the lowest price. Let me give you a glimpse of what we want our trigger to do. Here's an opportunity record in our org. Notice on the bottom competitive information section, we have a number of custom fields tracking up to 3 of the opportunities competitors and their respective price points. A sales rep might update this information like this. So we have Amazon competing against us at the $10,000 price point, Google competing against us at the $5,000 price point, and Microsoft is offering their solution for $20,000. What we want our trigger to do is identify the competitor with the lowest price point and populate the leading competitor field with this info. In this case, Google's $5,000 offering is the cheapest, so we want our trigger to populate the leading competitor field with Google. Notice how the leading competitor field is not editable by me. However, Apex can edit it. Lesson for you, Apex runs in God mode. It can do anything regardless of permissions. Of course, if you want Apex to run under a user's permissions, that's possible too. But most of the time, you'll run it in God mode. Anyway, back to the original goal. We want Apex to populate this leading competitor field with the lowest price competitor. Oh yeah, you definitely want to follow along in your own developer org as well. There will be a challenge for you to attempt after the demo. So here are the fields you want to create in your org beforehand. I know some admins here might be thinking, why not create a custom competitor object instead of creating all these fields? I think you're right. However, you and I both know that this type of scenario is quite common, and you've probably seen worse things in your career. After you're done creating these fields, get your coding editor ready and let's get down to business. Here I am in Maven's Mate, my coding editor of choice. But you can use any editor you want, including the standard developer console. I'm going to create a new trigger on the opportunity object and name it leading competitor. This trigger should run anytime an opportunity is inserted or updated, so I'm going to add that to the entry criteria. The reason I choose before instead of after for both scenarios is because we don't need access to system fields like ID and created date. So a before trigger is ideal. Now on to the drawing board. How are we going to write this trigger? What happens during this brainstorming phase is probably the most important and difficult part of coding. To boost my confidence, I usually like to type in the trigger loop because I know we're eventually going to have one, and it makes me feel like I'm making progress. Back to brainstorming. I like to think that every trigger is like a brain teaser, some challenge that has an unknown solution and an unknown path to victory. Finding a way to solve this challenge using the tools at your disposal is the fun part. That's where the real genius lies. The syntax of actually writing the code is just syntax. You don't need to be particularly creative to write syntax. But in this brainstorming phase, we have to be really creative. But I'll tell you a secret that you might find hard to believe. In this course, we've learned the core tools of Apex. And with just those tools alone, we can solve so many things. What you need to learn is when to use each tool and how to combine them together to get what you need. It'll be tough at first, but over time it'll become second nature. To help us brainstorm, let's take a look at the fundamental Apex tools and figure out how they may be useful to us in this scenario.